Hey everybody, Aaron Rift here from NoDQ.com. Welcome to the post Night of Champions edition of NoDQ&A video. Got a lot of questions here regarding Night of Champions and some other topics. First question here comes from Wayne Johnson. Not sure if this is any relation to Dwayne Johnson. Hey Aaron, love the show. What did you think about the Night of Champions pay-per-view? And what did you think about the finish of Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton? Overall, I have to say that Night of Champions was a mixed bag for me. Definitely not one of the better WWE pay-per-views in recent history. In fact, I might even consider it to be the worst pay-per-view of the year from WWE at this point. And not saying it was a bad show, because the fact is, every pay-per-view this year from WWE, for the most part, has been really good. WrestleMania was so-so for me, but every pay-per-view since WrestleMania has been very good. This one was interesting. I mean, first of all, it was very much like a glorified Raw. It didn't really feel like a pay-per-view event where you're seeing something out of the ordinary. The show opened up with a Triple H promo, and it was weird because Triple H was out there, and he's been the heel for the past several weeks, but he was acting like a babyface here. He made the Paul Heyman match with CM Punk, no DQ, and he did the DX Are You Ready during his promo, so it was really weird. As far as the main event goes, Daniel Bryan is the new WWE champion, but there was a controversial finish. The referee did a fast count, so what does this mean now? Is Triple H going to reverse the decision? I guess we have to tune into Raw tomorrow night to find out, but yeah, it was definitely not the usual finish, and not one I think a lot of people were expecting for Daniel Bryan to win the title from Randy Orton in that fashion with a referee fast count, and it just felt weird. So yeah, this pay-per-view, I mean, it had some good matches on the show. I thought that Dolph Ziggler and Dean Ambrose was a very good match, and there was no real terrible match on the show. Even the Divas match had a cool moment when Natalya did the double sharpshooter. So, I mean, every match at least had something to offer. But, yeah, overall there just wasn't anything great on this pay-per-view. And when you're ordering a pay-per-view, you're spending that kind of money, you should really get something that is better than what you normally get on a Raw or SmackDown. All right, next question here from my main man, Sam. Hey, Aaron, what's up? What are your thoughts on Rob Van Dam winning the match at Night of Champions by DQ? This is the second time that WWE has done this to RVD. What could be next for him? Well, once again, this is a pay-per-view, and I've never been a big fan of the DQ finishes on pay-per-view. I just think it's cheap, and I thought it was weak. And, a lot of people were expecting Ricardo to perhaps turn on RVD and join up with Del Rio again, but that didn't happen. And I guess this is just a way to continue that feud to the next pay-per-view, to Battleground, which is 3 weeks away, so they got to have something for that pay-per-view. So yeah, I was expecting a DQ screwjob finish on this pay-per-view, but I was expecting it in the WWE title match, not the World Heavyweight title match. So that was something different. All right, this one comes from Andrew Harley 1. Do you think Kofi Kingston's career will ever take off? All he's ever been is an IC or US Transitional Champion, and I can't really see him as any more at this point. Well, unfortunately, it's not looking too good for Kofi Kingston right now. He came out on the losing end, and when the match was announced, right during the pay-per-view, they didn't even bother to do this angle on Raw and build up a U.S. title match, or excuse me, an Intercontinental title match for the pay-per-view. They just announced it right on the pay-per-view. And I thought that maybe Kofi would get the title here, but no. Curtis Axel retained the title, and yeah, it looks like at this point Kofi is stuck in that lower mid-card, and I don't know if WWE's ever going to invest in him like they did in the past. I mean, it's always a possibility. It could happen, but there's no signs that point to him being pushed hard in WWE anytime in the near future. All right, another question here. What did you think about Ryback joining up with Paul Heyman and becoming a Paul Heyman guy? Oh boy, here we go with CM Punk versus Ryback again. I got this question a few weeks ago. Is there anything that can save Ryback? Him joining up with Paul Heyman Will that save Ryback's career? I don't know. I don't know if anything will be able to turn Ryback around. Maybe some solid Paul Heyman promos, although I'm not sure if Curtis Axel has gone over to the level that WWE has hoped for. But, you know, they're still pushing him. He beat Kofi, and, you know, Paul Heyman might be able to help get Ryback over as a killer. And, you know, they definitely got to move away from this cowardly bully gimmick they're doing with him. They need to make him a monster again. So maybe this is best for him to be paired up with Paul Heyman. But, yeah, I mean, it's weird because Ryback doesn't really fit the mold of a Paul Heyman guy, besides just being a big, strong monster. But, you know, Brock Lesnar was UFC champion and a guy who fans have a lot of respect for, and most Paul Heyman guys, you know, have some sort of gimmick that gets them over, whether it's Brock Lesnar being the UFC champion or Curtis Axel being the son of Mr. Perfect, and he has that legacy behind him. I mean, Ryback, he's just been this guy that started off hot and then fizzled out and just became this coward bully character. So time will tell if they're able to rehab his character or not. All right, this one comes from OMCN36. Your thoughts on the No Surrender edition of Impact Wrestling? I actually thought it was a very good edition of Impact. I know a lot of people get on my case about being too hard on TNA and criticizing it all the time. So I'll go ahead for the record and say I thought it was a very entertaining show. I thought that the final matches in the Bound for Glory series were really well done, and you know, AJ Styles is now the #1 contender for the title, which you know, more or less was expected when they did that storyline last year where he lost to Daniels and could not get a title shot for a full year. That seemed like an obvious build-up that he would come full circle the next year and win the title at Bound for Glory. Unless there's some sort of Bound for Glory swerve this year, but, you know, one would expect that AJ will get the title. So, you know, that was really well done. I thought that the Mr. Anderson Bully Ray match was... I loved the storytelling. I thought that Bully Ray came off like a tremendous heel in that match. And I thought it really got him over well as a heel, you know, this bastard heel that turned on his own brother in Aces and Eights, basically. And, you know, he gave him the pile driver on the steps. I mean, I thought that was tremendous. So, you know, thumbs up show for me this week. All right, this one comes from Jeroen Inc. Do you think the Radicals often get forgotten as one of the greatest factions of all time? You know, if they had been a group for a longer period of time, I would say yes. But the fact is, they came in, they had a very memorable debut, no question. But the group only lasted for about 6 months, and then they all went their separate ways. And, you know, they were part of, in my opinion, one of the greatest Raw matches of all time, that 10-man tag team match. With Radicals and DX against The Rock, Cactus Jack, and Too Cool. I mean, that was just a tremendous match. And, yeah, if they had stayed together for, say, a year or whatever, and they got the kind of push that, like, The Shield is getting today, I think they would have been remembered more. But, you know, they certainly made a big impact in the short period that they were a group. All right, this one comes from Eric Carjan. What are your top 5 LA SummerSlam matches? Well, #1, no question about it, Brock Lesnar, CM Punk from this year's SummerSlam. And second place would also be from this year's SummerSlam, Daniel Bryan versus John Cena. After that, I think my third favorite match would be from 2009, the ladder match with CM Punk and Jeff Hardy, the TLC match. And then #4 would be the main event from 2011, CM Punk and John Cena. And then #5, also from 2011, would be the Christian Randy Orton world title match. So those are definitely my top 5 of the LA SummerSlam matches. All right, final question here from Milik Jameson. I'm sure I botched that. Do you think WWE will ever push Zack Ryder again, or have they just given up on him? Same thing with Kofi Kingston. Never say never. They might decide to give him another shot someday, but at this point, there's nothing to suggest that they're going to do anything with him besides just being a guy who's there to put over the up-and-coming talent. So, unfortunately for Zack Ryder, I mean, he is basically, I mean, it's like the stock market crash at 29. I mean, he went from being the hottest thing in wrestling, and now, you know, nobody talks about him anymore. So just a really sad story, and you know, it sucks that WWE didn't capitalize on the popularity that he had in 2011. So, you know, just a shame. All right, that'll do it for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Check out NoDQ.com right now for the full results of WWE Night of Champions, and we'll have all the latest news and rumors regarding the pay-per-view. NoDQ.com, and I will see you guys next time for more NoDQ&A video.